It's time once again for your update from the city of New Hope. As always, we connect with the mayor to find out what's new in town. Mayor Kathi Hemken, how are you today?
Hi, Dave. Fine on this cold January day.
A little chilly outside, but we're going to warm you up with some nice thoughts about the city of New Hope. And what better way to start, Mayor, than talk a little bit about garbage and garbage hauling. There are a few things that have happened with the beginning of the new year. What have you heard at City Hall? How can we help out residents?
Well, back in 2018, Hennepin County indicated to the cities that January 1st of 2022, that we would either have to provide organic recycling to our residents. In other words, the city would have a recycling program themselves to do that, or we could tell our haulers that they had to offer recycling to the residents. So we knew that was going to be a cost to the residents. Two of them, and I'm going to have to read off my chart so I don't get this wrong, Aspen and Waste Management. Both of those companies actually had everybody enrolled and just automatically put it on their bill. And so if you want a bin or the blue bag brought out, you have to call. And of course, you have to pay for these blue bags and the pickup. So you have to call if you want that, or if you want to get off of that and you don't want it at all, they do not allow that. Okay. So you would have to tell Aspen and Waste Management that you're no longer going to be with them and find another one of the five to be your garbage hauler. Okay. Now, do be careful with that, because if you have a contract with them, you're responsible for the whole entire contract. So if you've got a year contract that you just signed, you get to pay for that for a year, and you can't get out of that. Randy's and Ace, they offer blue bags, and you have to pay for the blue bags. And I believe what you do is you put your organics in those little blue bags, put them on top of your recycle bin, and they take that bag separately and they recycle it that way. Okay. But you have to pay for the blue bags, and it will be added to your bill to have that pickup done. The other two, Curb and Republic, offer bins. So you could call, and now you got 3 bins. So you can call and get a bin to put your recycling in, and I believe you have to pay for that bin, and you pay for the recycling, the organic recycling to be picked up. So it's very confusing. Don't call the city, because these guys don't work for us. We just license them. So call your haulers, make sure that that you're getting what you're paying for, or you get out of it and you're not paying a lease fee that you don't want to pay. Very confusing. Sorry about that. We had no idea that that was going to happen, that they were just going to automatically put it on people's bills. So it kind of came as a shock to us, or we would have gotten the information out to you sooner. Apparently, the two that just put it on their bills sent out a letter the 20th of December telling people they were going to do that. I don't know if they gave them an option. I don't think they did. They just told them, we're going to charge you more money.
All right. So hopefully you had a chance to read that chart. There is a page on the city's website to gather more information, and maybe some information to contact the haulers directly. That is newhopemn.gov/trash. So go there and find out more information. And again, I'm sure we'll be probably talking about this the next couple of weeks or so, Mayor, just to give people updates on the process. Other things happening around the city, local board of appeal. This is something that is a little ways out, but we wanted to make a mention of what it is and why it's important.
Well, you'll get your tax statement. These are just for homeowners. You'll get your tax statement, and on that, it'll indicate what your valuation of your house is. If you don't agree with that valuation for whatever reason, you can come to this meeting. It's called the Appeals and Equalization Meeting. And that meeting is going to be on the 14th of April at City Hall at 7 o'clock. Bring your tax statement with. We suggest that if you don't agree, that you call City Hall ahead of time and make an appointment to come in, so that we can pull up your tax records and look at what the valuation of your house is. This is not the time to talk about the taxes you're paying. This is the time to talk about the evaluation of your houses. So feel free to do that if you're in doubt of what the valuation is.
All right, now the perfect time to do that as those statements come to your home. We have some great signs of spring and summer to talk about today, Mayor. Let's start with the first one here. Hidden Valley Playground Project, a sure sign that they're going to be doing some work, but the process begins with getting the neighbors involved. Tell us more about this.
So at our last work session, we agreed to have the engineer do some parks and plans and specs on the new park at Hidden Valley. So typically we take the park that's had the least amount of work done on it in the near future, and we redo the playground equipment. So what they do is the engineer will take the amount of money we're willing to spend. He'll do some plans and specs, which means how big is the container going to be, what kind of stuff they're going to have in the bottom, but not the playground equipment. So then they're going to have 2 meetings, one in February and one in March, inviting the neighbors. And by the way, if you're not a neighbor and you don't get that letter inviting, you can always call City Hall and just come. All of our meetings are open to the public. So what'll happen then is landscape structures will come in with the various pieces that you might like in your playground. And that group of residents, and bring your kids, by the way, they get a big kick out of this.
Sure.
They get to pick out the pieces that they think would look nice in the park. Then it'll go back to landscape structures, and they will do a plan with the pieces that you've picked out. Now, if this group can't agree, they'll do 2 plans so you can see which one looks best. And then in that March meeting, you will agree on the pieces that are going to be there and pick the colors of those pieces.
Okay.
And then after that's done, the end of March, it'll come to the city council. We'll hopefully approve that, and then we'll get started on redoing that equipment at Hidden Valley Park. So it's a long process, but it's a fun one to be involved in. Those meetings are typically an hour in the evenings, and they're usually at City Hall, and they're just kind of fun to go to.
Does sound fun, and a sense of ownership. Then I'm sure from the neighbors that are involved in the process, they can say, I was a part of this. This is part of my park. Let's move ahead to community development. A few things to update residents on there. The first is Hyvee. How is the construction going outside into the new drive-up grocery area?
Well, they finally got the brick facade in, and they're putting it on. And so it's starting to look like a real building. And once that's done, they're telling me they should be opening soon. So you'll be going to the prescription pickup place to get your groceries. You'll go through this kiosk, and they're looking forward to getting all the congestion away from the front of the building onto the side. So I'll keep you informed. We'll let you know how it's going.
Yep, will certainly help with traffic flow there. Other community development news, monthly single family conversions to rental. You have some stats from the last year and maybe some eye-opening stats. What did you find out?
Well, what happens is people either they move or they're going away for the winter or whatever, they put their house on the rental market. And then they either come back or they decide they want the house back and they take it off the rental market. And in 2021, 23 houses went from single family use to rental, and 19 went back from rental to single family use. So they come and go back and forth. Once they go into rental, they don't just stay there forever. Well, I think some do, but a lot of them come back, and then that's the process we're in now.
Another item to look forward to the springtime would be this exterior improvement rebate program, something that the council is going to be looking at. Give us a little background. What is this, and why should residents keep an eye open for it?
Well, apparently our community development guys got a hold of something somewhere where there was going to be an exterior rebate program going on. So I'm just letting people know what we're doing now is we're gathering the information. There'll be some sort of a framework, and then they'll present that to the council, and then it'll go to the public. I don't know if we'll be managing the money or Hennepin County will, but if you're interested and you've got some ideas of doing some exterior work, you might want to just wait or call the city community development department and ask them to at least put your number on their list so they'll let you know if there's going to be a rebate for you.
Here's another date for your calendar. February 2nd is the State of the City event. Mayor, I guess you and Kirk McDonald, the city manager, are probably working on those speeches right now. What are you preparing for this great event, and where and when is it?
Well, it's our chance to brag, actually.
Yeah. Just
to tell residents all the wonderful things that are going on in the city. It's going to be the 2nd of February. It's open to the public. It's going to be at City Hall at 8:30 in the morning. We're very careful that we don't let it last more than an hour. So it'll be 8:30 to 9:30. Be out of there early. A lot of times they have just wonderful donuts and coffee. before this happens. It's part of the business networking group, so they will be there too. And of course, the council members will be there and city staff will be there. But it's just kind of a nice thing to watch. They'll also do it online, I believe.
Very
So you
good.
could be able to see it online, but you don't get a donut if you do it online.
There you go. Right. And
You
get
gotta
to come and see smiling faces in that room. You mentioned it's with the business networking group. Let's talk a little bit about their next event coming up in March, a month away from that, February 2nd. Where will they be? What's the topic?
Well, on March 2nd, the guy from, I have to get his name. I can never remember that. Luke Harrow from Fairweather Design. What he does is he helps small businesses design their websites. It's very reasonable. It's going to be a pocket square, which will be kind of fun. You can see how Pocket Square does their distilling, I guess is the word. And so at 3 o'clock on the 2nd of March, and of course that, like everything else, is open to the public. And you get a lot of information there, a lot of small business come in there. That's how Mr. Redmond from the Redmond Popcorn got hooked up with us and was able to stay in business by coming to that business networking group.
All right. More information as we get closer to that. So from some thoughts about spring and summer, let's go back for a minute, Mayor, to reality of winter. And one of the realities of winter is Public Works doing water main breaks. You've had a couple more.
We've had a couple more. You know, this November, December were terrible. And when I asked them what they thought happened, they think because we had a very, very dry spring and summer and hot, and then it gets cold, and they think that caused a lot of them. But it's just an old system. So they only had 2 water main breaks, which aren't too bad.
Right.
But still, you have to imagine those guys are out there in that cold fixing those water mains.
Not
so
fun.
when they're not doing that, they were out plowing. They do an excellent job at that. They get up at 2 a.m. and go out and plow so the streets are nice and clear. People have been calling though about their sidewalks. The city of New Hope does not plow the sidewalks except in front of city-owned property. So those sidewalks are supposed to be shoveled by the property owner, whether it's a house or a business. Somebody owns that property. It's their responsibility to shovel that. If our city gets done plowing the streets and gets done the sidewalks and the paths in the park, they may go and do the sidewalks that are in front of people's houses, but don't depend on it because it's not really their job to do that. They're just doing it because they've got the other work done.
Very good. Final note related to Public Works, something that they would probably rather not be spending time doing because it takes away from other things, is removing graffiti. What's the message about graffiti and where have some things been spotted?
So people, I don't know who's doing it, but they think that writing graffiti on streetlight poles is fun, I guess. But, you know, every time they do that, our Public Works guys have to go out and clean that off. And quite frankly, I would rather they were shoveling sidewalks, and cleaning up graffiti. And so if you know someone that's doing that, please ask them to stop that because it's costing the city money and time that they could be doing other things more profitable.
All right, let's head back to warmer weather talk. And this is in Park and Rec. And believe it or not, we're already talking softball. What has happened with softball sign up?
Well, this is exciting. The adult softball leagues, they sent out the letters to the ones that were part of the softball league last year. And within 24 hours, they got a team signed up. So this is a real hot item apparently in New Hope. So if you belong to a league or if you're a new league or if you're part of that female league that's getting started, now's the time to look for your letter. And if you don't see it in a couple of weeks, call Park and Rec and tell them you're interested in signing up and they'll give you the details of that.
All right, one more time back to winter. Let's talk a little bit about the ice rinks outside. I would imagine with the cold weather that those ice rinks have to be in pretty good shape.
Well, they're in real good shape. However, the warming houses, it's cold. The warming houses are still kind of on a temporary basis, depending on where they can shuttle the attendants for the warming houses. So before you go out, go online and look to see if your warming house at your park is going to be open. So you're not out there at 4 below freezing and thinking the warming house is going to be open for you.
Good tip. Let's talk about the golf course and ice arena for just a second. Some of the indoor facilities, well, part of it indoor, at least the golf course that's being used right now. How about that rental for the golf course clubhouse? Going well?
It's going very well. If you're a resident of New Hope, it costs $145 to rent that for 3 hours. That's pretty reasonable. They clean it up. You just bring in what you want and you take out what you have left, and they vacuum and rearrange and do all that stuff. We've been renting it a lot for celebration of life occasions and birthday parties. So if you're looking for a place to rent, if you're a non-resident, you can still rent it. It's just a little bit more than that.
All right. And another note about the golf course, believe it or not, there is a chance to play a little golf, not normal golf, a little winter golf here on January 29th. Mayor, what is the fun that's going to happen?
Well, for $10, you can put on your boots and hat and gloves and hit a tennis ball with
Okay.
a 5-iron, and they will supply the club if you don't want to bring your own.
Nice.
And basically, I'm going to play. Basically, you walk around the 9 holes as a shotgun start. So you're not waiting around for somebody else. You're just going to walk the course in boots and a hat. And then there'll be hot chocolate and snacks afterwards in the clubhouse. It should be fun. Last I heard, there were a few openings yet. It's a nice family event. Let's hope it's like 23 degrees.
There you go. That sounds good.
And sunny.
A true Minnesotan thing to do, to go out and hit a tennis ball around in the snow. How about inside the ice arena? Open skating time still available?
Well, before we talk about that, I just want to mention the tree removal.
Yes.
If you see these big machines, they're taking down a couple of these big trees on the 4th hole. I think there's 3 of them. They've got one down. There's a picture of a guy standing next to it, and the tree is about up to his waist.
Wow.
You know, that's how big around it was. So you'll hear some noise. You'll see some stuff going on there. That's what they're doing.
Okay.
Now, at the ice arena,
Right.
they still have open skating on Fridays and Sundays, but this is a busy time. This is tournament time. So you need to call or go online and check to see if, in fact, there's going to be open skating on Friday nights or Saturday or Sunday afternoons.
All right. And again, a lot of information that we're talking about on the city's website, newhopemn.gov, to find out more. And here's another one. You're going to want to go to the website. How about this? If you're thinking about a summer job at the pool, now's the time, Mayor, to call in.
Yeah, well, this is unbelievable to me, but they're starting to recruit already. So they've sent out the letters, or they're going to be sending out very shortly, to the people that worked last year and see if they can get them back. But if you missed your opportunity to work at the pool last year and you want to work at the pool, give them a call, ask them to be put on the list. So if you go into our website under Park and Rec, I think there's a place that you can sign up for employment. If not, you can always call City Hall and tell them I want to work at the pool, and they'll connect you to the right person. But now's the time to do it.
Hard to
Can you believe we're doing that already?
I like it. I like that discussion already. Speaking of employment and human resources, a quick update for you. There is a new community service officer to welcome. Tell us about that person.
There is. All of that takes a long time because always you have to first post the job internally, see if there's anybody internally that wants it. And if we don't get 2 qualified applicants, then we go outside to post it. And of course, that takes a while, and then the interviews. And so we finally have a very well-qualified community service officer, and he started on the 24th today. So we're excited to have him.
One other HR note, the staff there always watching COVID and some of the latest things that happen. What are some of the things that they monitor and pass along to you and the rest of the city?
Well, of course, they're very well connected to the state. If the state mandates something like vaccines to be in the building, masks to be worn in all the businesses, we monitor that to make sure that we're well aware of what's going on and where the testing sites are. As a city, we have decided not to mandate anything until the state tells us that we have to do that. Okay. So some cities choose to do that. We in New Hope choose not to do that, but it really does behoove you to wear a mask when you go out in public and just try to protect yourself and the people around you.
All right, last couple updates from the communications department, which is always very busy in the city. But here's a fun one. We're going to talk about the weight of paper. Of all the things you learn on the New Hope update, how about weighing paper? Mayor, why are we concerned about the weight of paper?
Well, two things that it affects: the In Touch and the In Motion. The In Motion is that magazine that tells you all the stuff that's going on in the city. And the In Touch you'll get like every other month, just come in your mailbox. Well, both of those were printed on 50-pound weight paper.
Okay.
Well, apparently 50-pound weight paper has gone up very high, and we can't get it. And we don't print that ourselves. We go to a printer. And so we went to the printer, and it turns out we have a small supply of 50-pound weight paper that we'd bought before. And so half of the In Touch will be printed on 50-pound paper, and the other half will be painted on 35-pound paper. So if you get your In Touch and it looks flimsy, it's because you were the ones that got the 35-pound paper.
Got it. Okay, makes sense.
You might not want to know that, but if it comes and it's flimsy, that's the reason.
Or if you go over and you weigh your neighbors against yours and they're different weights, what's going on here? Well, now you know. A couple other things related to communication from the city. Social media, always a great place to find out what's going on through the city's Facebook page. A couple things that have been happening there is something about free food in West Metro. Tell us about that.
Well, our fire department, West Metro Fire and Rescue District, has got bags of free food. You just come in the main lobby and you go to all three of the fire stations. Go in the main lobby and there's a bag that's got canned goods and rice and things like that in it. We're trying to feed people wherever we can. So there's no questions asked. Just go in and pick up a bag and take it home.
Very good. We started off our discussion today talking about garbage. Now let's talk about recycling. A few notes for people as far as recycling pickup. What's changing there, and how can we find that information on social media about what our pickup date is?
Well, as you know, everybody is short of people. Either they're not, they can't hire them, or they're on COVID. But usually they pick up the trash and the recycling on the same day. But what they're telling us now, they're probably going to pick the trash up one day and the recycling the next.
Okay.
Because they just don't have the people to do that, the routes to do it all at once. So again, don't call the city, because that's not us. Call your trash hauler if you're really concerned about when they're going to pick that up. You might be able to go online to your trash hauler, and it'll tell you the different areas of the city and what day that would be picked up. But they want to get that garbage out of there first, and the trash will be the recycling will be the second thing they'll pick up.
Great, helpful information. Again, some of that on the city's Facebook page. Along with this, some notes about unemployment scam information. There's been some information put out by the city. What are we seeing?
Well, I don't really know what that means, but
Okay.
I do know that the city has been looking at that. Our police officers follow all of these scams very carefully. And so if you get something from unemployment and it looks like a scam or it looks different, you need to be calling the city, or you need to be calling the police department and tell them. Don't just do it, because I always tell people, do not ever give out your social security number over the phone to somebody that calls you, because places like the unemployment office will not call you and ask you for your social security number. So don't give that information out, and don't pay anybody any money over the phone, because that's probably a scam too. The police department is your best bet to call, and they'll you just call the non-emergency number and they'll get you the right person, the right captain that'll tell you what to do.
Excellent. And there you see at the bottom of the screen, the city's website, newhopemn.gov. And again, that has the connections to all of those phone numbers that you might need at the different departments, and also connections to social media, so you can watch in there and see some of the things that are happening. Mayor, as always, great update. We appreciate your time. Go enjoy the rest of this nice sunny day, and we'll talk to you again next week.
Thanks, Dave. Bye-bye.
Learn more about The Connection at ccxmedia.org and follow us on social media.